And good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition here of the Men of Steel podcast here with me, Charles Prodigy Ritchie. Right now, as we're streaming live right now on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube Live. And we are about a little over 2 weeks away from the NFL draft in Tennessee as we're starting to get a little bit more closer. And a lot of stuff still happening between them. I got the latest today on the recent pre-draft visits as of today on the 15th as we get a little bit more near. Also got a little bit of an article, too, that was blogged by Jeff Hartman Behind the Steel Curtain. It's on the Steelers for the need to try and draft a tight end this year. I'm going to share you my thoughts on how relevant that should be at what portion of the draft, or if at all, this year. As you know, the Steelers, they got about 10 draft picks total for this year, as you take a look at it. Plus, we also got the latest from Teresa Barley of Steelers.com. Pretty much most of the players have started working out together as of right now at the moment. Getting ready for some, at the moment, with some team building in the team facility at the UPMC Rooney Sports Complex. I'm going to get to that a little bit later on. As always, if you want to, feel free, dial up and join the show here on the Men of Steel podcast. Number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Prodigy Ritchie. Feel free to check me out on Instagram, Men of Steel Nation. And then you can also find my YouTube channel, Men of Steel Nation, as we got a lot to get in store right now. I know a little bit of a separate topic. I just want to a little two shout outs real quick. I just wanted to say, first, congratulations to Tiger Woods returning. It's been a while. Finally gets his Masters win, his major win he hasn't had in a long time. So kudos to him on the sport of golf, how much he is still appreciated in today's sport. And just goes to show you what overcoming adversity can be. As one thing the Steelers need to get back to doing is overcoming that a lot, as you could imagine. And I know, too, also, like in Pittsburgh right now, you also have the Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL right now. Not looking too good right now at this point in time. They are now down 3-0 in the first round of the series against the New York Islanders, who they've only beaten one time in the history of their franchise career overall. And which, by the way, right now, trailing 3-0 deficit. I mean, right now you gotta concentrate on winning this game. A lot of people are probably looking at Matt Murray right now. Where's the help around him? Crosby being held to no points. That is crazy, but can they become the fifth team? Can they become the fifth time in NHL history where a team will come back from a 3-0 deficit and win 4 in a row? Last team to do it, by the way, was the Kings over the San Jose Sharks. That was 5 years ago. You saw the Kings go on to win the Stanley Cup, which ironically, the Islanders, who the Pens are facing right now, the Pens were up on them nearly 45 years ago in the 1975 NHL playoffs. They had a 3-0 series lead on the Islanders, went on to beat the Pens. The Islanders did not win their Stanley Cup, but up until later on, they won from 1980 to 83. So it was a little bit more later on at the same time. So here we go. We're getting ready back to Steelers business right now. Again, just want to say, if you want, feel free to join the show. The number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. You can also hit me up on Twitter once again at Prodigy Ritchie. And just want to get into right now, as I just mentioned off a little bit earlier, you got Bob Labriola of Steelers Live, one of the senior bloggers and hosts and insiders for the Steelers within the organization. He was also mentioning out there that the pre-draft visitors for today, as of the 15th, were running back T.Y. Johnson of Maryland. He was one of them. Then you also had linebacker Quincy Williams from Murray State. And then also, too, according to the Houston Chronicle, Aaron Wilson, he can be followed at Aaron Wilson _NFL. They're hosting LSU running back Nick Brossette. He had private workouts with the Steelers, Saints, Packers, and Eagles, according to a leaked source. Now, I got to tell you right now, and I said this position more recently, I'm going to maintain this right now, but I don't know about everyone else over here, but as we take a look at things, when we look at it, I really believe right now at this point in time, the Steelers, I mean, you look at how they did like a year ago. I mean, they're trying to get their linebackers for the team to replace Ryan Xavier, of course. And we all know how that worked out when you really take a look at it. And that year of the draft, I mean, they were definitely trying to get, I think Rashad Evans was one of them, who actually, by the way, as we look at the 2018 NFL draft, as we look at it in there, I mean, the inside linebackers they were looking at, when you really took a look at it, Tremaine Edmonds was one of the guys they were trying to get, got snagged up by the Buffalo Bills. Then you also had Leighton Vander Esch, which was one guy they were looking at. Oh, it's outside linebacker, by the way. And that's one of the things, too, I mean, as it pertains to this year, not to go off a little bit deep, but there has been suggestions that the Steelers have been needing an edge rusher when you really think of things, too, aside from the inside linebacker position. And personally, as we get a little bit more closer into it, I really got to believe right now at this point in time, the way I look at it, I think they'll be all right if you're still without Shazier's replacement earlier on. Let's think about this again. My biggest thing is that they finished sixth as far as in the rushing defense last year. Clearly, you don't want to keep this void lingering. I think, if anything, the more pressure that's a little bit more as it's getting on right now, it probably has to be cornerback at this point in time. I'm kind of getting a gut feeling that's going to probably end up being their first selection of this year's draft. If not the first pick, but somewhere in their top 100 spots. I mean, you really got to think of it that Ari Burns, you got to really believe he's in the doghouse right now, is trying to get things turned around. Obviously, they don't want to give up on him, but as far as in fans, where he's still constantly game burned at times, no pun intended. But this is a time right now where he's got to snap out of it. I really believe right now when you look at it, I think right now when you think about it, he's got to be right now trying to turn things around in a better way. And right now, for a guy like Ari Burns, who's definitely been not so popular the last few years in the eyes of a lot of Steelers fans, I mean, they really finally started having some decent coverage in the passing game when Joe Hayden came to town. And now we're going to see right now with what they got right now, as they got Steven Nelson on here to go opposite side of him. I believe he's supposed to be a left quarterback. But as far as with Ari Burns, right now, he is in the final year of his rookie deal right now, as you remember. And this guy right now, as of the moment, I mean, this was your former first-round pick, back in the 2016 NFL draft by the Steelers in that year. He was at number 25 overall. But again, I'm just not too sure if it's kind of getting to those things right now where you look at it, you start to think, is he really not much of a fit, really? Almost kind of like when you think back, like at their position once upon a time with Jarvis Jones. I mean, that was one other guy, too, who once upon a time was supposed to be solid for the Steelers when you looked at it. He came out of the University of Georgia. He's picked at number 17 overall and really just could not seem to have much success. I mean, he kind of started to do a little bit better once James Harrison came back to the organization back in 2014. I mean, when you look at his overall career, I mean, when you really think of things, I mean, he was they moved on from him after the 2016 season. So I'm just kind of like a little bit curious right now when you look at this and just more in recent memory. What do you guys feel like was one of your, would you say, a busted draft pick as far as in recent memory of the Steelers? I mean, this is a serious thing when you really look at, but I mean, I think at the same time, too, this is a team right now who is in dire need. Like I said, you don't want to ignore the inside linebacker position, but I really do believe you want to strengthen up your secondary as of right now. When you really put things in perspective and you start to think what's going to really be. I mean, and then also you got to think of it like this too. You got to think of the defensive. A guy like Terrell Edmonds, who's been a really impressive first round pick from last year, and a lot of the guys the Steelers did not want him. Did not trade up. I imagine some people are thinking, are they going to possibly look into that? It doesn't seem like it's likely at this point. But again, you have to think right now. It's more about trusting the process right now. I mean, as the Steelers are right now, they got to be having that 76ers mindset. I'm not saying they're rebuilding, but when you finally get what you wish for as fans of the Steelers, when you watch this team from a couple years in the past where it was no nonsense, discipline, accountability led locker room, and this is who they were. I really think for right now, at this point in time, they are trying to reestablish an identity that's been kind of missed. And you got a lot of things on the line right now at this point in time. And I definitely believe so. Again, the number, if you want to feel free to dial in, that's 312-209-2232. Again, that's 312-209-2232. And definitely plan to be having some guests come up here throughout the week. But been reaching back out to Anthony DeFeo behind the steel curtain. We're going to try and have him on here this week. I may mean to have him on Wednesday to go a little bit more closer in his thoughts as we inch closer to the draft. As we are right now at this moment in time, not a couple weeks, excuse me, a week away. What the heck am I thinking here? But yeah, again, it's a lot of things, a lot of interesting scenarios, a lot of stuff lining up as we take a look at it right now at this point in time. As we are right now looking at things And we're just trying to piece together what's been happening here. And again, you can catch me on the Metal Steel Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube live on social media here. So we got a lot of fun topics to transition to here just momentarily on here. But yeah, I definitely feel like a corner is going to probably be the route we're going to probably see if it's available. And like I said, I've been maintaining as far as like guys who you want to probably see picked as your cornerback to start off in this year's draft. When you look at like the top 10 of who's available, I would imagine they'll grab someone in the top 10. I think one of the guys, like I said, I've been saying was Julian Love out of Notre Dame. I could see him being solid. A lot of people keep screaming for is Greedy Williams, and I could definitely see why not when you look at like his overall thing. When you look at like where he was in the combine overall, I mean, guy right here supposed to be like an instant starter, and that's what you want. DeAndre Baker, I'm not too sure about. If he's going to land in their laps. Also, another guy grade was 6.2. So I mean, the quarterbacks right now in this year's draft are not like Pro Bowl caliber, but they should be like starting material, and which is what you want to see. So we'll take a look at everything right now as we move a little bit further. And yeah. So again, as we kind of move forward a little bit right now, one other thing as I was mentioning in the podcast we got coming up, and I want and let's just finish up this topic real quick. I'm sorry, not to go off base here, guys, but like I said, you have right now, according to Aaron Wilson of the Houston Chronicle, you got LSU running back Nick Brossette, who's had private workouts with the Steelers, Saints, Packers, and Eagles, as a matter of fact. And yeah, he definitely, I feel like he pressures on the line a little bit. Not so much. I mean, I imagine if they're going to get a running back, it's going to probably somewhere between fourth and sixth round pick, in my opinion, if they draft running back. That's just my gut feeling. But when you look at it and see what he does, but as far as when you look at Nick Brossette right now, he was a 4.99 grade in the draft. Should be an NFL training camp. And had a good 4-yard dash. Very impressive. 4.72, which was decent, solid when you look at it. I mean, it's strange is that he's able to have like NFL size with compact build and musculation throughout. Drives through arm tackles, delivers a blow with lead shoulder, runs under his pads, and finishes falling forward. And he had just one fumble over 247 carries. And I can imagine that's got to be one of the things that's touching Kevin Colbert's eye right there, because that was kind of like one of the knocks, I guess, a little bit with James Conner, a little bit in a way. And I'm not scapegoating him by any means. But when you really think about James Conner, I mean, he's did a well of a job up until he got hurt. And I think it's going to be some growing pains. Not everybody's going to be perfect. You're going to have your moments. You're going to have your ups and downs. But I think that is one key thing they will remind themselves, whether you like it or not, when they moved on from a guy like Le'Veon Bell, who's now with the Jets. Guy who you cannot come to getting a long-term deal on just simply by guaranteeing the money. But now that he's moved on, it just seems like right now you're in a situation where you're starting to think, we don't want to have that mistake happen again. If Ben is throwing balls to his back, utilize them as an man receiver for an advantage on an offense. And I got to believe that's one thing they're paying very close attention to. The only knocks on him so far is to say he had one season with 20 plus carries, runs with tightness in his tips, slow start with below average upfield burst, and just 9 runs of 15 plus yards in 2018. And he's too predictable and easy to find for flowing linebackers. And he takes time to accelerate after making cuts. So at the end of the day, they're saying he's the same kind of back that they always have there, and all those guys end up playing the league for a while. Spencer Ware, Alfred Blue, Stevan Ridley, he'll end up being just like them, according to that executive with an AFC team. And Stevan really doesn't sound that bad. And then again, I mean, that's probably one guy people erase in the memory banks of recent times with the Steelers, considering how things finished. Decent back, but you're going to remember those costly turnovers and the way he handled the ball late. And hate to think of one play significantly happening, but fortunately, sometimes just the way it goes in society and life. No matter how hard you work, people remember those little things right here. Also, as we get ready to move on now, like I said, too, we got running back T.Y. Johnson from Maryland and linebacker Quincy Williams from Murray State. And right now, like I said, it just begs the question, what is Colbert going to use in his overall top picks? So, I mean, you got to be thinking he's got to be weighing out his options right now when you think about it as it goes on right now. I mean, let's take a look at right now one of your linebackers as we take a look at it. As we got Quincy Williams, who's one of the linebackers, like I just mentioned a moment ago, and see what he's got here, bring to the table with the Steelers. Got 6.70. Chance to become Pro Bowl caliber player. And this is a guy who's a defensive tackle. I mean, and that's one thing I would not mind seeing. I mean, I wonder if that could probably be like your second or third round pick right there. If there's anything I would not mind doing is lining up nicely as far as like your defensive front when you really think about it. And like I said, Cam Hayward, like I said, and I'm predicting this for a while. He ain't no spring chicken anymore. He is entering his 9th season with the Steelers. When you consider everything that's been hashed out, and when the smoke all clears for the end of the day, he's the second highest paid player on the team right now, behind Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he's pretty much got 2 more years left on his deal. So I think this is very smart right there for them to consider start preparing to get someone training under the wing and start seeing as a valuable replacement. I mean, why not? I mean, you don't want to be sitting around falling asleep at the wheel like this at this point in time. I mean, it's definitely, I'm seeing it where the defense, it is going to be one of those things where it's going to bring this team back to prominence. I mean, the only thing is we look at it. But, yeah. Also got one of my guys on here, Mark Hockett, who's been following me here on my recent podcast right now as we take a look at things. And he made this comment before, at some point the Steelers need to change the way they do business. And I definitely agree with that. Yeah, I definitely feel that right now when you look at everything. I mean, of course. I mean, how can you not at this point? I mean, this is team right now, but at the same time, I'm not sure if it's necessarily how they're doing business, or is it just more the philosophy of what kind of message you're saying nowadays. Do you want to revert back to the accountability locker room and how you do that? What kind of message you send to the locker room? And how you just support one another. I think those are things you got to take into consideration right there. I mean, those are things, in my opinion. Also, like I said, let's also take a look at Jeff Hartman behind the steel curtain, who had an article on the Steelers saying that they should not overlook a tight end in this year's draft. And I am definitely 100% in agreement with that when you really think about it. And when you think of a guy like Vance McDonald and Xavier Grimble right now, where you're going to be your two tight ends throughout the season, this is one thing right now as we look at it. You cannot be sitting around like a lame duck on here. And when you see it, I think right now, one thing is, like I said, Heath Miller. I mean, this is a guy, it almost seems funny how fast 3 years fly by right now when he's retired. You thought you were going to have your answer in Ladarius Green, who they picked up from the Chargers. Things did not work out. He had some little concussion syndrome issues. Was not all that available. He was for a stretch, saw what he was capable of doing, but he had a nice good spark for the offense, but just could not depend on him long term, unfortunately. So when you look at it right now, I think Jesse James this year, he is definitely going to be missed, but it's definitely they have to think about getting a security blanket in that. I mean, aside from your running back, I mean your tight end is almost kind of like your dog's best friend to like a quarterback in an offense, if you ask me. Definitely that security blanket you always want to have someone that's accountable for right there. And I got Mark Hockett saying right here that Steelers, they will be smart looking at running back as well because there is not much behind Kyron Samuels. Yeah, I'll probably have to agree with you on right there. And that's why I'm looking at myself. I would not be surprised. Like I said, Mark, I'm going to say again that they're going to look at running back. It's probably somewhere between 4th, 6th round. I'm not sure if they're going to necessarily use them in their top 100 pick, but I could definitely see that later on. And also to close things out for today's podcast here for the Teresa Varley. Apologize, folks, to Teresa for the mispronunciation, but as reported on Steelers.com, she's known that players have gotten together for building workout programs right now as you take a look at it. And a lot of guys are on the workout program for that when you look at everything on there at the UPMC Rooney Complex, you had notable guys over there like Marquise Pouncey, Joe Hayden, Cam Hayward, and Alejandro Villanueva, just to name a few. We're kicking things off on Monday. Don't forget, too, Joe Hayden, too. When I said speaking of veterans, also look at it this way, too, which is why I think they're looking at a quarterback as their first pick. He's entering his 10th season. Year number 3 with the Steelers. When you look at it, spent his first 7 seasons with the Cleveland Browns, brought incredible value on this defense. Restored back to somewhat pride on here. I really got to believe it's looking at it. But Hayden, he did arrive to the facility coming from Vegas, and he is delighted, just like anyone else, to be back with the guys, as well as Vance McDonald, too, who's actually been one of the guys who actually stays in Pittsburgh year-round, take advantage of the facility, as well as a strength and conditioning staff. And, yeah, and those are a few notables. But I do want to pose this question real quick before I get ready to close things out here, less than a minute away. And I know all the knocks about Ben Roethlisberger. I know it's very rare you see him getting in there, getting his stuff together. But considering what's been happening with guys like Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell moving on, Does anyone have a problem with him not being there himself? Obviously, it just seems like he's got his own separate schedule, but if we're talking about team building here, does anyone want to see him get his feet wet with them? I mean, just think about that for a minute. Let that sink in. I'm not trying to throw dirt in the guy, but I do want to say team unity. Sometimes even like your leaders at the top of the totem pole, you would like to see in there and kind of feel like you have your guys back. I'm not saying he's not, and I'm not saying that the team is feeling that, but in the eyes of fans, just to sound appeasing, I think that's one thing you have to consider. All right, well, that's going to be a wrap here on this edition of the Metal Steel Podcast. As always, you catch me here on Mondays and Wednesdays on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube Live. You can follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richie. Feel free to check me out every Saturday as I do a show on CSR Chicago Land Sports Radio on deck every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. All right, and we'll get you some more stuff coming up. And also, too, next week, we have a little interview with an actress here who's actually from Pittsburgh, got some movie projects, and a Netflix TV series. This will be a special podcast here. This will be around next Wednesday, I want to say. Next Monday or Wednesday we're working on. So feel free to check her out. Okay, and I will tease it as we get a little bit closer. And I'll talk about Olivia Webb. All right? All right, guys. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us here on the Metal Steel Podcast. As always, leave you. Don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go.